South Coast Switch.
You're either all the way in or you are all the way out. And there is no in between.
Hey, Hoops fans, Dodson back again with South Coast Switch, doing podcasts sporadically, but trying to bring you out a little bit, especially when the New Orleans Pelicans make a move like drafting a New Orleans guy like Jaron Pierre. Watched Jaron Pierre for a lot of time over the years in college. Even before then, he was in the gym during COVID getting some work in with a guy that he's the only trainer I've ever even pitched. I need to write something for this fella. I'm going to put it in Forbes. Coach Rory has done a lot to keep the game going in the city of New Orleans, done a lot to inspire these kids, and I think he's got a lot more pros in the pipeline. So I wanted to hear more from him about the game in the city, the game in general at the grassroots level, what he's doing with his son, and, of course, what are the Pelicans getting with Jaron Pierre? So here it is. If y'all want to help out, I'm never going to do ads. We got the Cash App on one side, the Venmo on the other. Send me a little bit if it's only $1. I don't care. Ask me a question. I'm going to try and do some more of this kind of stuff that looks on to the grassroots, the stories behind the stories that get these players, especially Gulf South players, to the next level. Get them into school, get them into the pro levels, get them into a Hall of Fame, because I know the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is later on tonight. I'm going to be there. I hope to see y'all there. Hope y'all enjoy this podcast.
And then it's another kid, Pierre Jr., plays like Bron, plays like Anthony Edwards, downhill, electrifying.
Yeah.
I think that if you get him into the pros, he's going to be a really good pro.
Here, whipping, 1, 2, fake, back to the middle.
Looking forward to showing I can shoot the skin off the ball. Endurance, never getting tired. First one every drill. Non-stop moving. Just showing that it's more mature in that. I'm a humble person, but it's definitely what I want, so I'm going to do everything in my power to get it.
I'll just do the little yachty. Hey, y'all, Dodson stepping in with Coach Rory. I've talked to Coach Rory a lot, over the years, wrote him a Forbes piece because I think he was the best trainer in the Gulf South, and then he kept the game going in New Orleans in a way that you got to respect. And I think a lot of players have seen that. Anybody that's new to Coach Rory's game, he had correct me if I'm wrong, you had a player on all 4 Final Four teams last year that you had been training, right? Didn't you have one on all 4 teams? Or was that 2 years ago?
Just two players. Just 2 players on Final Four teams last year.
Oh, just half the Final Four. My bad.
Yeah.
All right. And, you had somebody that I know the New Orleans Pelicans fans tuning into this are really going to want to hear about. But before we get to all that, we're going to have to tease y'all on Jaron and Wicked JP. I need to hear just your thoughts on the NBA season. The Knicks actually pulling it out. Wemby, it doesn't look like it's his time, and I don't know if he gets back there next year.
Man, I love the ending to the season. I thought it was so competitive, man. That Spurs team, they're young, but you can tell they're gonna be, competitive, obviously, for the next few years. They're gonna probably have a run maybe similar to the Spurs in the late '90s, early 2000s, in my opinion.
That's what everybody's expecting, but the Thunder's right there. They said Dan Marino, it's a different sport. Dan Marino got there his rookie year and never made it back. Like, there's a lot of people in Wemby's way, and the West is only getting tougher.
Yeah, and another thing, man, I thought, Jalen Brunson, man, representing for the small guards. I think that was, just phenomenal on the biggest stage. We all grew up watching Allen Iverson, and, he came up short, but played with heart every time he was on the floor. But Jalen Brunson got it done. And I thought it was so inspiring, just for those guards that are coming up. And I think this was probably the most, correct me if I'm wrong, the most guards under 6'2", 6'1" that were drafted, in the history of the NBA draft. It was crazy. So people are going to take, they're going to take a chance with those smaller guards now because of that.
Yeah, that inch or two doesn't matter. We see it with Kingston Flemings, who I've seen on the Puma circuit probably 70, 80 games now over the last few years. And then him playing him, right there in Houston. And with Sinek, if you can hoop, you can hoop. And as you see that as a trainer, if you can come on there and you're 6'1" and can really move the ball, move a rock, hit a shot, and maybe somebody walks in at 6'4", and they can't really dribble the ball up and break a press, I'm going to take the 6'1" point guard over the 6'4" guy who looks the part when he walks in the gym versus how you feel when you leave the gym and you've seen him work.
Absolutely. I mean, I tell guys, under that 6'2", 6'3", height range, you got to be able to shoot the cover off the ball. You got to be able to defend. You got to be able to talk. You have to be able to set the table. But you most importantly have to be able to shoot the cover off the ball. Years ago, you just have to set the table, defend, facilitate. But now at that one spot, you need that scoring output. You have to be
Yeah,
able
we
to
can
shoot the
blame
ball.
Curry for that because, I mean, CP3 had a little pull up at the elbow, and that was all he needed. But even CP3 had to get better at his 3-point shot because just the
Absolutely.
game has evolved that way. And another way it's evolved, I want to get your thoughts on this, the dichotomy of, Brunson's doing things for small guards, but you got Wemby, you got Chet, you got all these big Gobert. The rise of the traditional big man is coming back. So those two forces fighting against each other should, styles makes fights. So we should see a lot of good basketball over the next 3, 4, 5 years, the way the parity is breaking out and the styles, there's the different kind of players are being reintroduced back into the game.
Man, I love it. I think that basketball is positionless right now. I think that you can have a point guard that goes to the post. You can have a big that stretches the floor as long as you're productive when you do it. And as long as the game calls for what you're doing. So Jalen Brunson, not super athletic. And what I mean by that is he just doesn't play above the rim. But everything is 2 feet, pump fake, step through, stop on a dime, pump fake, step back. It's very effective. And then you have some bigger guys that are stretching the floor. Like I have a kid right now, Chris Burden. He's at Miami, signed with Miami. He's at
Yeah.
Miami right now for summer practice. And we worked on everything guard based, like the past 3 years. But we also worked on dribbling into the post and playing out of the post and also being able to post fade, catch out of the short corner area, face up, step back, drive, pump fake. So I think basketball players just need to be skilled. They need to be skilled. And obviously to be a pro, you have to be a professional. You have to be superb at least one thing. So as long as you're if you're able to shoot the basketball, but you got to do other things as well, rebound and defend and stuff like that. But I love the way the game has grown since, when I first started watching it years ago.
Yeah. And to shout out a few Louisiana names, one on the small guards, Cooper Nelson just signed at ULM. I think he's going to just blow up in that conference over the next few years. I think he could be one of those summer league guards I see in 4, 5, 6 years.
Awesome.
I actually think he could be better than Yuki, and I got to watch Yuki in Memphis. On the other
Okay.
end, you mentioned Chris Burden. I mean, I've been on Burden since I've seen him at your COVID run, same as Jaron and Sanak and a few others. And I've had NBA guys tell me 2 years ago, "Oh, you're crazy. There's no way Burden is going to be like a Sanak." I said, Burden's going to sign Power 5, maybe even better than Sanak. And now look
Right.
at him. He's at Miami. I don't want to compare their situations. And I mean, Houston's great. I know that Kelvin's talked about their NIL money. I don't want to look in these kids' pockets. But when you look at names, Miami is right there on the beach. They got the ACC. It just seems like it's bigger. I think, especially with what you've done with Burden over the last few years, I think Burden is a first round pick, maybe not next year, even though it's a weak draft, but in 2028 or 2029, when he's flirting with that top 20 in lottery and the money is now better in the NBA.
Hmm.
Burden is a guy he's on my database. I'm telling people about him at Summer League this year. You better get down to Miami and watch Burden. So,
Man,
am I
absolutely.
crazy for that? Am I crazy?
Nah, and first and foremost, man, shout out to Chris Sanak and his team. I just think a kid that's coming out of the city of New Orleans and getting drafted. I don't think people realize how hard that is to do. I mean, it's hard to get drafted, but coming from New Orleans and getting drafted. So shout out to Chris Sanak and his team. I think that's phenomenal, man. And I think him going to Boston is a great place. He's gonna learn from some of the best in the game. And I think he's gonna have a very long NBA career. And and with Bird, being his former teammate, man, Chris Bird is 6'10" without shoes on, 42-inch vertical, can shoot the cover off the ball. He's one of the best shooters that I've ever trained. Like, I mean, there's sometimes where he'll run off 20 in a row and he'll miss one and then run off another 17 or 18 in a row. That's just how he
48 of
is.
50, I think, was the one time I came. The last time I come and saw y'all, he went 48 of 50, and I was like, I'm done. That's all I need to see. Not to
Yeah,
cut you
man.
off, my bad, but it was just so impressive. I had to say it.
Nah, and the crazy part about it is that he's eager. Like, obviously he's a young man, but he still has that joy for basketball like a young kid. And what I mean by that is he'll he'll do whatever it takes to get better. Like when he's in the gym and you go into the next drill, he's excited. Like he's like, all right, man, yeah, okay. It's like a challenge to him, but it's still fun. And I
It's a new
remember
bone
we
to chew on. He loves chewing on them bones and getting that protein, the vitamins from the training that you're doing with him. So yeah, I love to
absolutely.
see it. And nothing against Sanak, as I was saying earlier. Nothing against Sanak. I think the NBA is messed up by giving him the perfect landing spot and some fuel for the fire. He was a lottery pick, in my opinion, late lottery, and I hope he uses
Yeah,
that for some fuel. That's not, again, not to compare the two or diminish what he has done, but I just think Burden has got such a great potential. And Sanak, yeah, I
of
think in a
course.
few years he could contribute to a postseason team. And you've seen both of those young men
Yeah.
show that initiative, the eagerness just to get it out the mud. Even when y'all was in COVID and didn't have no air conditioning, them guys was in there hooping, and
Right.
that's why they are where they are at today. So credit to you and credit to the work they're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, on that end, you had Bird. You got a few others. I would do want to transition and use this moment because I think this might be the best team y'all got coming to Delgado with Dejon Leatherman down in the post. If we want to talk about traditional big men, let's go ahead and throw something on what you've been doing with some of those maybe overlooked guys. Because Dejon signed D1 at UL with two different coaches and still got the step over. And I thought that was
Mhm.
kind of nasty. Yeah, I'll put it on wax like that, ULL. Dejon is going to be a contributor at a D1 program soon enough, and he's going to blow up this year with y'all. So just fill us in a little bit more. If New Orleans needs to come see a game, y'all gonna be putting an entertaining product on the floor.
Well, Dejon Leatherman is about 6'9". He's about 260 right now. He wants to get down to about 250, playing weight. Dejon is a monster, especially in JUCO. I mean, he averaged pretty much a double double, and he only played 19 minutes. If he gets you 5 to 6 feet away from the rim, he's going to bury you under the rim. It's hard. I mean, he's large, he's strong, and he's intense and intentional. And
He did it at EYBL. He did it on Pro 16. He's did it at a top JUCO. He's gonna do it at the top D1. Yeah, I'll let you keep going, but I've seen him do it at all those levels.
yeah, man, I mean, he's phenomenal. Like I really think that, you know, like we were talking about earlier, being able to stretch the floor and stuff, like people haven't really been able to see it, but he can make a 15 footer. He can make a 14 footer. Like he can make those short corner face up shots. And he can also shoot floaters off the short roll. But they weren't able to see it because he wasn't called to do that. But I think he's going to have a phenomenal year, and he's starting to get more Division 1 interest, but I think it's really going to pick up when when the season gets going, and we're going to do a few showcases early on, and yeah, it's going to pick up for Dejon, man. Dejon is a monster, and all those coaches out there that are looking for an old school big guy, like an old school tough physical big guy, because at the end of the day, like you can't just stretch the floor like with everyone. Like
No,
you
you need
need
a
a guy.
Horace Gray. You need a Charles Oakley.
Yeah, like and I get it. Look, the game has changed, but you can't stretch the floor with everyone. You know what I mean? Like you gotta have a guy that can stretch, but you gotta have a guy that can be a bruiser, that can be that tough guy, that physical specimen down there, that guy that's gonna make it tough for the guards drive, and like you just gotta have that guy. He's that guy.
Yeah, I
So
mean, we can transition to that with more of the grassroots and the training and the things that are getting lost like that because you say everybody, oh, the game has changed so much. If a guy misses a shot and the ball is 20 feet in the air for a rebound, has the game
Mhm.
changed that much? Is boxing out changed that much in 50, 60 since they hung the peach basket? Has it changed that much? Dejan has the strength and the ability and reads the game like I won't say a Rodman. I won't hype him up that much, but he's
Right.
got that tenacity to him. He maybe can't move like Rodman, but he can read the ball off the rim like a Rodman or
Right.
Draymond, who Draymond ain't the tallest player, but if you really need something, if you need a rebound in a UFC cage, Draymond's going to get it. Dejan
Absolutely.
has that to him. And I don't think that part of the game has changed at all. You still need that dog in it.
Let me think on how I wanted to go about this. All right. So yeah. So like the characteristics that you described of, just being that guy that can be that enforcer, being that guy that could, keep those alive. Those things aren't valued until it's time to talk about draft projections. I don't. I feel like that. Because I watch a ton of film. Like some may think it's too much film, but I watch maybe about 3 or 4 games per day.
Yeah,
College
it's wild
wise.
when I get done watching film and then I call or text you and you're like, oh, I'm still watching film. Like, man, you got me
Yeah.
again. You got me
Yeah.
again.
Absolutely. But I mean, I'm still learning, and I always, and I find something, different. I guess just a different way to see it, or a different way to go about things, or just something that I wasn't putting emphasis on that, that I kind of think about, and I mean that's just the love of the game. But I just see certain things like, speed in transition, rim to rim, like a big. But during the year, maybe it isn't valued as much, right? And then you look at, keeping possessions alive, or you know, uh, just different things like that, different analytical things that are very important that may not be emphasized because the game is shoot, dribble, pass, and it's basically if you have an assist or if you have 10 or more rebounds, it's kind of glorified. Or if you score 20 or more points, and it's not about, you know, are you getting the paint touch, making the kick, and then that person getting the assist. So the person that's getting the credit is the person that swung the ball from the wing to the corner. But the person that created the disadvantage for the defense is the person that drove from that 45-degree angle, jump stop, kicked it to the wing. They collapsed on the wing. Now he makes one more. Now he gets the credit in the book for the assists. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
it's the plays that affect winning basketball. Anybody watching this and made it this far, I actually created an app to help this, and I've been using it on the Pro 16 circuit that gives
okay,
you the scout score. The scoreboard is
absolutely.
one score, but yeah, you can hit LeBron cut, made the connecting pass, where'd it come from? Anybody wants to check that out, reach out to me, hit it up. I know I'll send it to you. But yeah, those plays that affect winning basketball, uh, real scouts see it. It just takes time. These kids, I think they kind of maybe some of them give up too early and they say, "Oh, I hadn't been seen yet." Just keep hooping. Real hoopers keep hooping any level because we got D3s and JUCO kids going to the draft, going to the summer league, stuff like that now. So yeah, man, it's something I think it's rare. It's something
Mhm.
you've got in Dejan. It's something you've got a lot in your gym, and that's something that breeding that culture in the community through any sport should be commended. So again, stepping to you on that, and on the grassroots, you talk about how you bring that out in kids. I've tried to, again, using the app, go through the film with kids, watch their tape, and go where you keep getting in trouble. Find the plays where you're giving up your dribble. Give up your chain, give up your girl, give up all your other shit. Don't give up your dribble. That's the one thing keeping you alive. But
Right.
if there's a situation where you keep having
Don't
to
pick
give
it
up your
up.
dribble as a
Yeah.
turnover, go practice the moves that get you out of that situation.
You know what's crazy, man? With me training my son right now, I've been able to see, the good and the bad of basketball. So right now, I'm basically training him on everything I've seen and everything I know. So when I was younger, when we first started playing basketball, we were taught to take a dribble, pick it up, and make the
Yep.
proper pass. And fundamentally sound is the way to go, but now I'm getting him to take that dribble, and if he sees two defenders coming, we're not trying to split. We're trying to pass and get it off because to my earlier point, if I pass and get it off, now it's 4 on 3. Now you covered that guy. Now it's 3-on-2. Somebody's open. You know what I mean? And you have to be able to make one-handed passes. Like I never thought that when I was growing up. Even when I first started coaching, I was catch, pick it up, pump fake high, step through. But as I've,
Do it all.
grown, I mean, I'm just like, man, you got to be able to make a pass on the go. So it's got to be 1, 2. And it can't be pound, catch, wait. That takes too long. You know what I mean? Like the best guards in the country, the best guards in the league, professionals, they make it off the hip with either hand. So I think that's something that needs to be emphasized just as much as playing the game. You know what I mean? And playing a lot of games. Like you have to be able to break down each individual's game and for it to be able to be, what I mean, effective in that game setting.
Yeah, and the coaches with that old school two-handed pass. Look how the passes Magic Johnson or pistol hit with the one hands. And you have to be able to be creative. And I think that if you want to talk about how the game has changed and things we have lost, it's kids getting out and playing and being creative without a trainer or a coach and just learning what they can do with the ball. I think what you do is great, but there's a lot of where we need to let the kids just be free. Go make mistakes. Go learn. And I think we've kind of lost that in the game. It's something we're seeing in the World Cup. Shout out to the Sounders, where American kids are drilled to death. But Messi was born on the streets and just playing ball. And you don't take one dribble, pick it up, and look for a pass there. You better keep your dribble alive on the blacktop, or you coming off the court, dog. If you can't really play, you can't really play. And that's where training comes, and you really need to learn how to play. You teaching your kid how to play. And play the right way. I see he's hitting all the shots from long range, but he's also dribbling, doing all that. And as a dad, that's got to be great for you just to get that time in, right?
Man, I mean, it's phenomenal. It's crazy because, a few years ago, he had really no interest to play, but he liked being in a gym. Like he liked, sitting in there, whether he was on his, DS or he was like, just kind of just being in that atmosphere.
Catching his
But
Pokemon as a 5-year-old, 6-year-old.
yeah. And I mean, the crazy part is, man, like he, one day he was just like, I really want to play basketball. And I'm like, you sure? Like, how do you want to play? Do you want to just have fun? Do you want to just, he said, no, I really want to play in college. Like, I see what you're doing with the guys, and I want to play in college one day. And to me, college basketball in a sense is professional basketball. It's two
Oh, yeah.
levels of professional basketball. The first is college. And if you're an exceptional pro in college, then you get an opportunity to become a next level pro, which is the NBA, which is Euro League, which is, different entities in the professional world. And yeah, man, it's phenomenal seeing him grow. I mean, for every pre-draft workout he was in there with Jaron watching, studying. I'll look on the other side of the court, like the stuff that we're working on one side, he's working on the other side. So he's blessed to be able to be around guys of that stature and guys that have grinded to get it. Like all my guys are guys that I've been locked in with for years. And it's like a culmination of, their hard work, their effort and attention to detail that has finally come together. So I definitely think my son is blessed with the opportunity to be able to be around those guys.
Right. And you talked earlier about how it's hard to get drafted out of New Orleans, basketball especially. I mean, where everybody knows we're football. As soon as you look like you're a decent athlete, they trying to put a helmet on you, right? But it is crazy that you got your son, one of the best in the country, so to speak. I know we don't want to get into the ranking stuff as much, but then you got the Jolly Boys. There's a lot of good young basketball in New Orleans. So I think there's a lot that needs to be hyped up there. And again, I hate the national ranking type stuff. I talk with Jolly Boys and their dad all the time, talk with you all the time. Just keep hooping. You'll land where you need to hoop. And that's why we'll transition to the pros you were just talking about. Because you got 4 or 5 in the league now, right? You got Cam Carter with the Heat, Sioux Falls. We'll see him at Summer League. And for all the Pelicans fans I know that are really flocking to this podcast for this, let's talk about Jaron Pierre. Let's go ahead and talk about Wicked, the good and the great first. Because we know the bad. The bad is going to be defense. We can talk about that in a minute. But the good and the great. What is he good at? What is he great at? What fans should expect to see with the G League team, should we expect to see like a Ja Morant light, an Anthony Edwards light, something like that? Because Kevin Garnett was talking about one of your kids being on that level. You let us know. Is that really where he's at?
Man, the crazy part about that Kevin Garnett, one of my boys, man, De Niro, he actually sent me that clip initially, man, like a few months back, and I was just like blown away by it because I had Kevin Garnett's jersey. I was a big Stephon Marbury, Kevin Garnett tandem. I mean, my son has the Stephon Marbury part right now because I've pushed Stephon Marbury, into his mind in a sense, but nah, man. Jaron Pierre, if you look at his highlights, it looks like a video game.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
He's explosive. Up and down the
it's
court, fastest on the court, jumps higher than everybody on the court. It looks like he's got a problem with the rim when he dunks.
he does, man. But I think, and shout out to his fam. I think that, he's a kid that grew up in New Orleans that's gonna get a chance to play for the Pelicans. I mean, just think about even if it was something else, like if it was football, think about a kid that's a quarterback and they get drafted by the Saints and they go play quarterback. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like I was looking at the TV and I was like in shock for like maybe about 20 or 30 seconds. And because I didn't go on Twitter, I didn't go on anything because, once we got to like maybe like the 50th pick, I'm like, I knew who he worked out with and worked out for, and I knew that, he did what he's supposed to do. So I was like, man, I'm like, God, please. And then when it got to, I think Golden State, and then when it got to the Pels, they went to a commercial break, and
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
and that was the longest commercial break of my life. But you know, Jaron Pierre, man, shot 38% from three the last two seasons. He averaged 21.6 points per game. His junior season at Jack State, he averaged 17.6 points per game. His senior season at SMU. His season at Jack State, I think it showed that he was one of the best players in the country. I mean, you look at Dennis Scott, Orlando Magic, great. I mean, he loved him. He said on camera that was one of his favorite players in the country. Damon Stoudemire had a press conference. Mighty Mouse, who was a first round pick. You know what I mean? Shout out
yeah,
to him. He's one of LSU's coaches now. He said that was the best pro ready player that he's seen all year in his press conference. And I just think that Jerron is a dog. That's it. And you know what's crazy? Like his game is still growing. Like his Jack State year, you started to see the post fades. You started to see the Kobe. Like he loves Kobe. Like
yeah,
loves Kobe Bryant. And he can, with his frame, I mean, Jerron is, 6'5" without shoes on, 6'5", 6'6", and then he's 210 pounds. So trust me, you know what I mean? Like I'm 200 pounds. See, if you holding that pad and you getting hit, brother, it's going to punish defenders on those bumps, and that's why he's able to get to where he wants to get to in transition. And I mean, it's the crazy part about it too. I know his time hasn't been measured, and maybe I'll look at that and break that down. But his speed from the corner or the wing to that opposite rim
yeah.
is incredible, and it picks up, brother. Like I'm talking about. I was thinking about him with Fears because I watched a ton of Fears. Like I watched a ton, in college, and I was like, man, those two guys, they'd be dynamic together. You know what I mean? Just the way that they play, their styles complement each other. But nah, Jerron he's the life of the party, but also he's the worker of workers. So when it's time to have a great time with teammates and be a locker room guy, he's gonna big up guys. He's gonna that's one thing about him that you'll see is that if somebody's having success alongside him, he'd rather that than just being the successful guy. Every time his teammates did something well, I saw how excited he was. Two of his teammates, one of his teammates, ended up signing, summer league with Milwaukee, and that was, one of his close friends, and I knew he was really excited, about that. And his other teammate is signed, I think, a two-way deal with Sacramento. So just people's person, man, and I think the fans are gonna love him, and I think that they really made the right move. I think that, to be honest with you, I think it helps ticket sales.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. The lakefront's going to be sold out for that first game. Yeah, it's
right?
got to be that first home game. It's a homecoming. It's all of St. Aug will be there. You know.
Yeah, it's gonna be like that, man. It's gonna be because and I've had a number of people ask me already. They're like, "Oh, when is his jersey coming out? When is his?" You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I'm just like, "Look, I don't know the logistics of those things, but I do know that you know when that link is released, I mean, people are going to be very surprised at how much they support him. And then it's not like they're supporting like somebody that was given an opportunity just to be given an opportunity. This is a dog. I've
Yeah.
seen him in those rooms with those, top 20, top 25 type picks, and I've seen him in rooms with guys that have been in the league, and it gets scary when he's locked in. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And
yeah. I
he's
was talking
always
about his evolution, so to speak, as a player. His first couple of years, they said "Well, he's all right. He's an athlete, but he's not really a hooper." He proved that his athleticism translated to basketball those first 2 years. Then they're like, "Oh, he's a hooper, but he can't really play refined basketball within a system and still get the points and the buckets." Then he went out and got 21 with Jacksonville State and proved he could play in that sort of thing. And they said, "Oh, well, he can do that at the lower levels, but can he do that at a Power Five school when the pressure's on him and they throwing a few million at him?" And then he went and got 17 at SMU, first, second team. You can argue that all day, but he was still one of the best players in the country at getting
absolutely.
buckets. And now his next challenge is, oh, well, he can go and do that at a Power Five school on that end of the court, but will we see him on the other end of the court? And I think Summer League, he's got to come out, and I want to see him guard the other team's best player. I don't think we saw that too much at the combine. I didn't hear about that. Maybe we can even talk about this where he dropped to 58 because maybe he went into the combine not playing, and you talked about his selflessness there. He wasn't playing for himself at the combine. He was actually trying to, from what I was hearing, trying to set too many other people up, and they weren't expecting it because that's a go get yours kind of environment. And he was out there truly trying to show teams that this is how I'm going to play at the next level.
Well, obviously, thank you to the Pelicans organization for giving him an opportunity, and I know his family is very thankful, and I know he's excited. This is like 20 plus Christmas and one, for him. But I think that when you go to showcases like that, sometimes people do too much by trying to do too much. And sometimes people do enough, but in different settings, they prove or they've showed that they're capable of doing those things. I think when you're in a setting like that and you're playing with some of the best players, in the country and the world, and you're fresh off your season, you know, they have guys that get to the combine and they take 20 shots, but they may make seven. Now, if you're on your team, it may not be scrutinized. It may be, not looked at in that great detail. But I just think it's a certain way to play the game. And he was facilitating. He shot when he was open. I mean, there was one game where I think he shot over 10 shots. But for the most part, he's trying to find his teammates. See, people don't realize that. If you go back and watch the Jacksonville State tape, and you go back even and watch a lot of the SMU, he's like Clark Kent in the first half. In the second half, he's Superman. So if you look at his productivity, right, I guarantee out of those 21.6 points per game and out of those 17 and a half, close to 18 points per game, I guarantee the majority of his points were scored late in the second half. And he's not the guy that gets the ball at the end of the game and shoots free throws and gets five more, six more points per game like that. He's the guy that when they need him, like he's gonna show up. But then he's also the guy in the first half where he's like, all right, one more pass. All right, drive instead of laying it up, pass to the big. All right, drive, jump stop, kick to the corner because he's not selfish. That's not his thing. But if you tell him, "Let's go, let's go, it's your time," or if he feels that if he has the inclination where it's like, "Yeah, it's go time," and I'm telling you, man. I mean, it was a game against Middle Tennessee State.
Oh, we lost Coach Rory again, but I know the game he was talking about. Yeah, 10 of 16, 30 something points. And I expect that from Jaron Pierre in Summer League, too. Look, Jeremiah Fears, Derek Queen, they made all rookie. I expect to see them the first couple of games just to get used to the Jamal Mosley system. But after that, why not tell Jaron Pierre to go out there and get 30? Become a fan favorite. Go win all Summer League MVP. Do something like that to bring the winning culture back. After last year, they went 0-5. I don't think Be Great's going to go out there with the idea that hey, if we go in 0-5, it's okay as long as we develop a little bit. It's time to get some winning attitude, some winning traits, some winning characteristics, some winning momentum back into the city. Because whether this team makes a move or not, winning cures all ills. And if they can get that momentum going, I think we'll see a lot more butts in seats when it comes to both the Smoothie King Center and the Lakefront Arena because they've got local guys who are going to really play for the city because they're from the city. So it's going to be great to see that. But we talked a lot about Jaron's good. What's going to be the great things? Maybe even some situations you can see him excelling at. Say you were talking about before we unfortunately got cut off about him scoring 30 against Middle Tennessee State, I believe it was 10 of 16 from three, went crazy. I expect to see Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen play one or two games for the Pelicans at Summer League just to get used to the new system and just to win. They went 0-5 last year. So JP's going to have to be a little differential there. That third game, why not tell him to go get 30, go win Summer League MVP, go lead this team the rest of the way to get some winning culture, some winning momentum, something like that going as the local guy, as the only draft pick. Because as soon as he's done with Summer League, sorry to say, he's going to have to carry all the rookie duties. He's the only draftee. He's probably going to be the only one out there singing when they do the big team practice and they invite everybody in. So that third game, I think when he gets to run and lead the team, when maybe Fears and Queen are sitting out, 30 points, why that seems like a good bet if they tell him just go get yours.
No, I think it's. I mean, I absolutely, Dad. I think that's right, man. I think he's going to be able to fit into whatever the coaching staff needs him to do. Like if they want him to be a 3-and-D, then he's going to be 3-and-D. If they want him to defend the best player, he's going to do it. Like he's going to do what's asked of him, was called upon him to do. But if he gets that opportunity where he can take over a game, especially like in that third game of the summer league, then he's going to do it. I mean, he's been doing it his whole life. Like he understands his role, but then he understands his ability as well. Role and ability can be two different things. You know what I mean? Your
Yeah.
role may be to do something, but you might have a ability to do something else. But um, I think that they're going to see, and Pels fans are going to see a hungry player that loves the city of New Orleans. Like he loves New Orleans. You know what I mean? And I think obviously he loves basketball, so I think it goes hand to hand. And then he's from here, so I think he's going to be ready. As far as the singing and all that, he won't mind. That's the type of guy he is. You know what I mean? He just he's gonna have fun and he's gonna do that, but when it's time for business, he's gonna be ready.
Gotcha. And let's look. We can talk about the good all day because it's bucket gettings. That's how you win the games. But the biggest knock on him, the reason he fell, was the defense. You say he could be asked to be a 3-and-D and he would go out and do it, but could he do it well? What are maybe some things he does need to work on that defensive end? How can he be better? And maybe how was he just not put in a position to show he's a better defender than maybe his reputation suggests?
I think that I think when you carry such a big load offensively, I don't think that you lack in defense, but I think it becomes second in your mind because of what you're called upon to do initially. Now, I've seen games.
All right, Pels fans, let's just talk about process for a second. I did a lot of dissecting David Griffin and how he would use leverage to, like the Anthony Davis trade to the Lakers and using Boston Celtics for leverage. Even though most of that deal was mostly done before he took the job, the frameworks were there. He still had to get a little bit of leverage out of them. Same for the Drew Holiday trades. CJ McCollum had to be broke up from Dame. I think he leveraged them very well. That's the way he looked at making deals. Joe Dumars seems to be making deals in a different way. He's not looking for leverage. He's looking for price points. His price for Queen. They knew what they wanted, and Queen, they knew when they were going to have to get him. So as soon as those certain deals and trades were made last year during the draft, Joe's been out publicly saying, hey, we started calling teams 5, 6, 7, 8 till we got the deal we wanted. I think that's the same thing it's been the case the same for Trey Murphy and Herb Jones. The price is the price. Sources around the league told me a few months ago, and I got to publish it for Clutch Points, that it was ridiculous. They wanted the Desmond Bane package, or what wound up being the Desmond Bane package with the 3-4 picks. That fourth pick was to take in KCP's contract, but the money had to work some way. That's still the price. There's no point in all the bickering and bannering and going through different leaks. He knows what price he wants for Trey Murphy, and he's going to get that price, or Trey's going to be in New Orleans. Same for Herb Jones. The same goes for acquiring Ja Morant and anybody else. I think Joe knows the price. Troy knows the price that they would pay. And if they can get that price, fine. It's done. It's paid for. We're going to do it. If not, we'll do something else. There were teams that were trying to leverage maybe the Jaron Pierre pick, because Jaron had great workouts with the Washington Wizards, the Pistons, the Kings. He had 7 or 8 workouts where people seen, all right, this is a guy that he could come in and get us buckets at the G League. He can probably get us buckets at the NBA level. He can maybe even learn an NBA defense, but maybe we can get him as an undrafted free agent. But they want to try and leverage the Pelicans into giving up 58 for 52 and a faded later pick. It didn't happen. Joe said, if you want him, you can have Jaron Pierre. They probably had somebody else to take with a 58 pick. They sell that pick or they move on. They had different processes, but they knew, all right, Jaron's probably going to be at there at 58. We're not going to get worked where somebody's making us pay extra for something that's going to fall in our lap. And it worked out the way they wanted. They got the player that they've been eyeing for a while. That's about all we wrote on over at Clutch Points about different second-round options. Jaron Pierre was at every one of those for a reason, because he's probably the best player for the Pelicans at that spot. He's going to be a local guy that leads the local team, both on the lakefront and I really think with a good summer league, he can get moved up to the varsity in a way that Jose Alvarado, Najee Marshall, Carlo Makovich, that those guys have moved up. And yeah, Bryce McGowan, I think we can see that sort of career path for Jaron Pierre. And I'm glad the Pelicans got him where they got him. They didn't have to overpay, and they didn't take a flyer on a big that wouldn't have done much for us. Hunter Dickinson, no offense to Hunter Dickinson. He just wouldn't sell the tickets. The athleticism's not there. Jaron Pierre was perfect. And I'm glad the Pelicans got him. So it's going to be great to watch him in Vegas. It's going to be great to watch him at the lakefront. It's going to be great to see how he comes out of this summer, because I know he's in the gym working with Coach Rory, Burden, a bunch of other guys. And hey, just stay in the gym. Hoopers hoop. We will find you. Jaron Pierre is just the next latest example of that out of New Orleans. All right, Pels fans, a few quick hitters here just to keep you updates after the draft, after the Coach Rory conversation, after we saw that Jaron Pierre is going to land in New Orleans. First, you're going to hear a lot about Trey Murphy and Herb Jones. Price hasn't changed. They're still going to be ridiculous, according to some sources around the league that want to get them for cheap, but let them be ridiculous. It's Trey and Herb. You should get your 3, 4 first-round picks for Trey. You should get 2 for Herb. And you'll hear, I think Jake Fisher used the word, some mischaracterizations on how the Pelicans are going about this. You got to have an open phone line. You also got to just set your price. That's the price. Again, we talked about it earlier. And if that's not met, you hang up and you move on. You don't waste time with your day. And I think that's why you're seeing maybe fewer leaks with the new regime, is because they don't waste time. They've got their price. They're not looking to leverage every single situation. And maybe that means they're not going to win some things on the margin. But it also means sometimes we're going to owe them an apology because that Derek Queen trade worked out. Asa Newell is never going to be better than Derek Queen. Flemings and Jeremiah Fears, I think, is a wash. Either one you have, you got a great point guard. Maybe there's more potential with Fears. There's definitely more potential with Fears and Queen together. And the Pelicans got that for the price they wanted to pay. Give them props. So, no, the Pelicans are not trying to trade Trey Murphy or Herb Jones. They are listening to calls. Other teams are trying to get the Pelicans to feel like they need to trade them. And it's not working. Shout out to not only Zion and his trainer, Chris, but also Cheddar Chaz for that interview. I love coming on with Cheddar Chaz. He's one of the only local shows I do for the fun of it, really, because I know he's got sources. He's informed. We talk a lot on the side, always going back and forth. I've let him even know what scouts are in the building because sometimes I know he gets a little wild on that trade machine. It's like, hey, calm down. But love the fella, love what he's doing, love how he helped Zion and Chris get more of the message out. And I think we've been missing that a lot in New Orleans on just hearing it from Zion. If we can just hear it from Zion and Zion's camp, I think we believe it more. It's more authentic. It's more genuine. And the goodwill is there. And I think that goodwill is ramping up. You're seeing it trend upwards as a stock because we're seeing the workout videos. We're seeing the messaging. We're hearing the messaging. And we know he's in the city. So we know that commitment's there. We know Joe Dumars is committed to that. That's everything I've heard is Joe left the NBA VP job because he really wanted to work with Zion. So why would you trade him away for peanuts? That's just never going to happen. Come on. Let's look at some big name acquisitions. You're going to hear about Kawhi. Kawhi's never coming to New Orleans, never signed an extension here. Kevin Durant, he's been bouncing around the league for years. But really, we're looking at Jaylen Brown, John Morant. And look, Jaylen Brown, Boston Celtics, that marriage seems like it's done. They're even after the draft and it was time for the makeup quotes to come out, you heard leaks about, well, the Boston Celtics want 4 first-round picks for Jaylen Brown. That all but signals the divorce is inevitable. He'll probably be traded during summer league because there's no way you let that get to training camp. I do believe the Pelicans are still in on the Jaylen Brown conversations. I've heard from multiple sources that they've had at least the initial talks. Maybe nothing too exploratory where they're setting up frameworks, but there has been are you trading Jaylen Brown? Are you open to trading Jaylen Brown? Boston has told everybody yes because they've set a price now. You don't set a price for Jaylen Brown after the Giannis deal unless you really are intent on trying to repivot that whole franchise around Jason Tatum. I also don't think John Morant takes a buyout, especially not a buyout that's less than the full dollar amount of what he's fully owed. He's too young for that. It comes with a certain cachet that once you take that lesser figure like Russell Westbrook, you're never going to get it back. I think John Morant is going to hold firm there. The Memphis Grizzlies really have no reason at this point. But I don't think the Pelicans have completely shut the door on John Morant either. If that price is right, you got to go get John Morant.